Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
Yo, what's up?
We're both in hotels.
Yeah. Wow, new background. Look at that. How'd you figure it out?
Yeah. What's up, man? How are we doing? How are you? First of all, how are you coping with the fact that we didn't do crossover for 2 weeks now?
Oof. Terrible. It's horrible. I tested positive again this morning. I was hoping it would be gone by now, but still have it.
Are your symptoms starting to go away?
Yeah, the symptoms are basically gone. It's just like tiredness at this point.
Mm.
Some like nasal stuff, but I probably sound weird.
Yeah, definitely turned out to be a super spreader event.
There was a bunch of people at Collectors that got it. It sounds like I heard of several people that got it, on Instagram and stuff.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Well, while we let the people join us, first thing I want to do is call everyone's attention to the Card Ladder YouTube channel. So if you just go on YouTube and you type in Card Ladder, you're going to get results, obviously. And here, the most recent result is episode 3 from the National. That just came out yesterday. We have episode 2, episode 1. So Stiff Arm Wax has put out 3 national episodes already. So check those out. And do you have any other announcements that we should be making besides just, check out those national videos?
No, just watch those. They're so good. Episode 2 gave me goosebumps, like the basketball stuff. So good. Like all the music to the background of it was so good.
Yeah, someone said we might need like a bonus cut, just a bunch of slow-mo footage, basketball highlights. So
I think we need to start one of those like big YouTube channels that just show like Ball is Life. We need to start our own like Ball is Life offshoot.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Okay.
The once a year we play basketball.
What about any mail days or pickups at the National? Do you have any of those to share?
I wish they were with me. They're not with me at the hotel. I do have pickups.
Yeah. Well, you did. Episode 3 has 2 of your pickups in it. 2 of your Fitzes.
Yep.
If people want to check those out. I have some pickups and some stuff. Obviously, I haven't got any mail days since I'm not quite home yet, but I did get this at the National. My one deal I made, did a trade. So this is a first-year Optic Jokic green out of 5, PSA 9. So that was fun. Did that trade with South Park Cards. He traded down, I traded up. So that was fun. Okay.
You got a bunch of good grades. Show the grades.
Yeah, well, I really got trashed on the grades, to be honest with you, but I got one good grade that I'm very happy about. So then I got 5 cards graded. So here's the first one. This is Cooper Kupp NT RPA Gold out of 10. Really sharp card. It got a PSA 7, Auto 10. Christian McCaffrey Rookie Material Signatures, 1 of 1. Also got a PSA 7 out of 10. But, man, they look nice. They look nice in those slabs.
Yep.
McCaffrey Green Kaboom. First ever 1 of 1 McCaffrey Kaboom. PSA 8. Not thrilled about that grade either, if we're being honest. I'm okay with this grade. Most recent year Prism, 2021 Prism McCaffrey Black Finite 1 of 1. Got a PSA 9. Pretty content with that. I think that's a fair grade. And then this was the big kahuna. The 2017 Prism Black Fast Break 1/1 Curry got a PSA 10. So this is a really awesome grade. Those were my pickups and deals that happened at the National. So
The 10 makes up for the other ones.
totally, yeah, yeah, absolutely. If you said, hey, I'll give you a 10 on that one, and the rest gets like 8s and lower, fine.
I was laughing at the part where Nick goes with Luber to reveal his grades, and he's like, PSA 6, oh, it's fine, it's a 101, it doesn't matter. 7, it's totally fine, it's a 101, it doesn't matter. Oh, an 8, this is great, I'm so happy just to get these back. Inside, he's just like, fuck.
Yeah, it is though. It's like just getting the card back does soften the blow.
Yeah, well, then he did get the 9 on the Cade, which is, again, it's like, if you get the 9 or the 10 on the big one, that's good.
Yep. He also got like a 10-10 on a Mobley Gold, so he's fine.
Yeah, even on the 1 out of 5, he's like, oh, 8 out of 10. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, first topic to come up is the basketball game. The basketball game. All right. So, look, we didn't try to make a big deal about it in our video, because we're not super self-congratulatory, pat ourselves in the back type of people. But you are looking at on the screen some of the only people that went undefeated in the basketball game. There's a bunch of games that got played. So the first game was me, Stiff Arm Wax, and South Park Cards. We took on Tim from Slab Strong and Mike Geo from Sports Cards Nonsense and Alex, Sports Card Stallion. We won that game 11-9. It was close, though. It was a close...
With a comeback.
With a comeback. It was a tightly fought game. Game 2, Stiff Arm Wax went over and started filming, and then Josh joined our team. We ran it back, same team as otherwise. 11-0. We skunked them. It was an absolute drubbing. One of the more embarrassing basketball victories I've ever been a part of. 11-0. They got smoked. We ran it back one more time. And I think that one went like 11-3 or 11-5 or something. Wasn't really close either. So there were beatdowns getting handed out in Atlantic City on the courts. Anybody who thinks they're hot shit at basketball, we're riding high.
Anyone? You mean us?
But, okay, so those were the outcomes of the games that we played in. There actually were many more games that went on. Dude, so the next question here from Card Shop Dad is, whose game surprised you the most? I think everybody came to play. Everybody was impressive. Mike Geo was really impressive. Everybody, yep. Man, everybody could play. It was awesome, dude. It was a lot of fun. And I thought the hobby acquitted itself quite well.
Geo was good. I thought yep. Tim was better than I thought he was going to be as well.
Yep.
And same as what you just said. It was just fun to play. I think we should do more of that.
Yeah, and I mean, we had a nice presence out there because, after a little while, G, the Lucky Show came through. Lamim James came through. Pac-Man cards came through. Lots of people came through. And everybody was playing and competing. There were no weak links out there. So it was really fun, man. It was awesome. KCS Sports Card says, did Mike Geo play dirty in the pickup game?
No. Nobody played dirty.
There was a dirty player, but he was on our team. He might have smashed somebody's nose.
I only made one person bleed. Relax. 5 seconds into the game, I smacked Alex in the face, and he was bleeding.
Look, man, you guys don't get it twisted. If you square up against Josh, you better be ready. And Casey Sports Car says, did Lamim talk trash the entire time? I don't remember. Was he talking trash?
No, he was talking, but He wasn't talking trash. He was just having fun.
He was just chilling. Goats and Grail says, how many days did it take for Chris to recover from the game? Only 3. No big deal. Only 3.
You got actually sick, right? Not just the basketball.
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe it was a mix of a lot of things. I don't know. But I had to miss Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of the damn show. It was terrible. But I did come back on Saturday once I was feeling much better.
I think that was the most talked about thing on the show floor. Is where the hell is Chris? And I was like, I have no idea. Don't ask me. Do I look like him? Go ask his twin brother over there.
It was so embarrassing. Just knowing that I'm just laying in a hotel bed while everybody else is having fun.
Well, it must have been pretty bad for you to stay away.
Yeah, I know. I'm just glad I did eventually feel well enough, and I was on the mend. I was able to come back and get those cards graded. I was really good. Okay, Card Shop Dad says, what's your interest in a 3-on-3 tournament next year?
Tournament? I don't know. I kind of like the informality of it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's just me. Like, the tournaments are cool, and I like the competition, but I like the build-up of the trash talking on Clubhouse and just kind of the impromptu-ness of it. But tournament might be cool.
Yep, for sure. Tournament might be. So, yeah, I mean, we are looking for some new challengers. So, if you guys out there have a 3-on-3 team and you want to square up against the Card Ladder squad, send me a DM and we'll see what's up.
It better be a shit-talking DM, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you better bring it, too. Okay. So, now let's move over to questions about the National. So, Bear Down, Boiler Up, great guy who wasn't able to be there this year. He said, how did the National compare to last year in Chicago?
It seemed like just as busy to me. The trade night was certainly way more busy. So like the attendance numbers were the same, I thought. And given that it was in a less desirable location, I'd take that as a win. I saw less deals happening though. Like I didn't see too many like big deals going down. Definitely some deals happening, but a lot more reluctancy to spend cash. But I would say like the energy and like the social aspect was incredibly high. People were having fun and walking around chatting. So I don't know. I'm not sure how else to evaluate it.
Rodman says he liked it better. Oh boy, that's a spicy take.
He was the one making the moves. He made a lot of pickups.
Yeah, he was definitely flying around. Yeah, I think that's about right. I don't really have much to compare. I mean, I was only able to be there for 2 days, so I can't really compare it that much, to be honest with you. Blades of Steel says, what was the weirdest, the strangest, or the grossest thing that you encountered at the National?
I have one.
Go ahead, Christina.
No, it's not.
Oh.
It's a person, and everyone knows what I was going to say.
Oh. Well, for me, there was some guy walking around the show the last 2 days doing this stupid circle game to people the whole time. It was immature. It was childish. I was very offended, personally. I think that it was debauchery that was debasing the experience for a lot of people.
Oh, I think that was you.
Was that me? Okay. What about you, Josh? What was the weirdest, the strangest, or the grossest encounter at the National?
I can't think of any of those. The circle game definitely took over, at least from our perspective. We should have kept tally. I think it was probably like 37 to 40 or something. We got a lot of people.
We did. A lot of people got God. Okay.
There was one guy, though, that I did see wearing sandals with no socks. That was a travesty on par with some of the greats.
Shout out to Charlie from New York and from Clubhouse for coming up with the circle game. And
how did that start?
He just started doing it at Bleecker on Monday night, at the Bleecker event Monday night. He just started doing it. And then it took on a life of its own.
Does everyone know what that is? I mean, most people probably remember, but basically, like, you just do this little thing, and it's below the waist, and you got to get someone to look at it.
Yep. Easier than it sounds, honestly.
The best, the only one I had was when we were playing basketball. I actually like got a hole in my shoe from playing, and I just kept saying like, "Dude, check out the hole in my shoe," and I just just put my fingers around it.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Buffalo Bill 17 says, "What inning is Atlantic City in?"
I think the bottom of the ninth. I think it's over. I heard from like multiple people that they're going to be petitioning for this to be the last one in AC, and they refuse to come back. We even saw some famous people on Instagram saying this, they'll never come back. How dare they ever bring it here? So I have heard also from a couple of sources this will be the last time it's here. So hopefully.
Grail Card Quest followed up on Buffalo Bill's comment, and he said maybe there will be a live look at AC. I think enough people got a live look at AC last week that we don't need to do anymore. But what is it that makes AC so bad? Can you put your finger on it?
I mean, it's like a deserted Vegas in the middle of the ghetto.
Okay, is that all? You could write
It's not
their
good.
name for them.
The Uber ride from the airport to Atlantic City was like an hour and a half. That's not ideal either. Like the Chicago show, the airport is like 5 minutes from the convention center. It's just like not very convenient.
Fair. On paper, it sounds great. You know, I was trying to hype myself up for it. It's on the ocean. You have casinos. You know, beautiful time of year. But man, in practice, it's just there's something missing. A key component is missing. But I guess you summed it up there. So
The gambling was good though. We just, for some reason, we're just on fire with the gambling, so we can't complain about that. We were on fire, Blackjack.
yeah. All right. So we had a question about that. So. Tasty Card Sandwich said, how did you guys do gambling? Could you describe your wins, losses in terms of cards? So, for example, you might say, oh, I lost a PMG while playing craps.
Well, we wanted to play craps, but the tables were too busy or the setups were weird, so we decided to play blackjack. We won I'd say we each won like a gold Prism Jokic.
That's facts. In about 20 minutes. We were at the blackjack table absolutely cooking. We had a mentor with us who she was a savant of blackjack. She had a cheat sheet that told you what to do, whether to play, whether to split, whether to double down for any hand. And sometimes we would follow her advice, sometimes we wouldn't. We ran so hot for 20 minutes that the pit boss had to come over, eject our dealer, reset the deck, start our table over. And we said, you know, if we start losing now, we're going to get up and leave. And we did.
And she left.
Yep.
Our savior left. Did you also notice that she, like, if there was some like interesting outcome to the round, like if there was basically a point at which someone said, should I hit or should I not? Based on the decision we made, she would play the outcome of what would have happened if the reverse went through. Well, if you would have hit, then that meant the dealer would have got this, which meant we all would have lost. So it's a good thing that you stayed. It was just like, what? She's on another level right now.
Yeah, no, she was totally on another level. So
and she walked away. Once she left, we were like, all right, maybe we should be on high alert to be ready to leave, because if she's out of here, you know, something's up.
Yeah, no, we walked away, you know, in great shape. But it was a good fig. We were only there for like 20, 25 minutes. You know, that's all it took, though, to go on a heater. So, all right.
Let's get in. Let's get our money, and let's get out. Remember that Office episode where they play trivia night?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they like totally, the C group like totally lucks into winning the trivia night, and then they go to another one. They're like, let's just get in here, get our money, and get the hell out of here, and they just get smoked.
So, all right. That's so true. We had a great time on the floor. All right. Vinny Slabarino says, I enjoyed the National. Seeing all those cards in one place made me realize how so many cards really aren't rare and they are not scarce, both vintage and modern. Do you think that's a drawback to the National? Or is it a good thing because it gives people a better perspective on what rare and scarce really means?
Well, first of all, if I know Vinny Slabarino, I know that's not how he started that question. You skipped part of it.
Yes, it was edited for time.
I'll answer this one quick. I want to hear what you have to say about it. It definitely like makes me soften on certain cards that I keep, especially vintage. Like it just makes me not like vintage to be quite frank. There's just so much of it, and it is kind of like a reality check. Like, hey, the cards you thought maybe were rare at home, you see them all, and you see the same stuff over and over. You're like, all right, well, I'm not super interested in owning a Fleer Jordan ever again. You know, you see 600 of them in the show.
Yep. Yep, I agree. It's not so different from, what's available on eBay or what's available regularly on auction houses. You know, if something starts to feel like it's just always available or it's always within reach or it's just always visible, you know, it does start to lose some of its luster. So I'm with you, and I'm with Vinny as well. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's realistic for people to get a concept of how many copies of different cards are in existence. And look, not everybody runs away from cards having multiple copies. Some people like the fact that these are highly transacted. You know, they feel more confident in cards that they know are pretty readily available and are transacting a lot. So it not everybody feels that way, but I definitely do. I definitely if I can go to the National and like see my PC and piecemeal together through other showcases, it does lose a little bit of the magic, right? If I could go see it, but that's just me. That's not how everybody feels. Some people really love and feel a sense of connection from having cards in common with other people, and that's totally normal. That's great. So there's no right way to go about that. All right, Drake's PC says, what are some things coming out of the National that make you optimistic about the hobby, both short-term and long-term? And conversely, what, if anything, makes you pessimistic?
Oh, optimistic? The fact that many people went to Atlantic City just for a sports card show. I mean, I'm kind of joking, but kind of serious, If that many people made it out there. There were so many people, dude. Go watch video, is it 3, the trade night? Or video 2?
I think it's 2.
3?
Or 3?
Just watch the 3. The one with trade night. Just watch the pan shot that Nick got. There's like so many people, and that wasn't even everybody because they had to start turning people away because of like fire hazard. There were so many effing people at the trade night. It was unbelievable. And that kind of spoke to me of like a lot of people were there for the quote-unquote trade night of the hobby, which is like getting together in an informal fashion, just having fun looking at cards, and less focused on like the dealer, seller, buying and trading, because there just really was like less deals going on. So therefore, the focus of people shifted to like, okay, well then this trade night is kind of more my vibe then, where I can just hang out and kind of browse stuff and trade and not have to worry about spending my money. So that was like the positive of me. Why don't you jump to the negative, and then I'll have a negative one too, or you can do positive too.
Any negative coming out of the National? Yeah, sure. Here's the negative. I'm afraid that show promoters are losing sight of what it is that brings people to shows in the first place. So, and here's what I mean by that. It's great to have corporate presences and booths that are there to promote a service or an up-and-coming, service provider in the industry or an established one, and to have promotional material that's, and there's a certain number of people who go to these things and treat them as trade shows and as networking conferences. But that is not the driver of the energy and the traffic at a card show. Like, let's not lose sight of this. This is the most obvious, easy thing in the world if you just take an objective look at what a card show represents. The thing that drives the energy, the thing that has thousands of people pouring into trade nights after hours, and fire marshals and security guards like shutting it down. Why is this event so popular? It's because people just want to trade and buy and sell cards. That's it. It's not more complicated. It's not less complicated. The driver of the energy, the driver of the activity, people bring their cards, people bring their cash, people bring their Pelican cases, people set up, they sit on the floor, they sit in the lobby, they stay there till 4 a.m, then they wake up at 8 and go right back to the show just because they want to make a deal. They want to buy a card at this table and then sell it tomorrow for, $100 more. Or they want to trade and, put together a trade package to get some grails. And then they want to walk around the show for the next 3 days with their new card in their pocket, feeling like they're on top of the world, show it to all their buddies, show the action that they were doing. This is the hobby. Card shows are a participant sport. We participate. We don't go to card shows to be talked at. Okay, but that can be a fun part of the experience. But the driver of the energy of a card show is being a part of the action and making deals and buying stuff and selling stuff and getting the high of being a player in the game. So, and I worry that the way that shows are approaching the experience and the way that corporate booths are being set up, they're missing this very obvious factor. And I'm pessimistic about that. I'm pessimistic about the hobby experience transforming into something that moves us away from the reason why the National is such a huge popular show. And it's just because we like to be in the game, trading, doing deals, buying, selling, being involved. So, and if you look at the corporate booths that succeeded, like PSA's booth is a great example. It was described as a city at the National traffic. Why? Because PSA is slamming our cards, and then we get the grades, then we go sell them, or we go show them off, or we go, have fun with them. We do trades, or we buy a raw card and then take it and get graded at the show. That's so underrated how amazing of an experience it is to be able to go to a dealer's booth, buy a card, walk it over to PSA, and you can literally get it graded same day and get the grade back and sell the card the next day. So that's there we go. All right, I've said enough.
You mean you don't want to play carnival games at a sports card show?
I mean, I'm not against that. Not against that, all right? There's a time and a place.
What if they did like a separate, I think the layout at Chicago has like different halls. Like what if they did like a separate hall for the corporate stuff and then one for the trading cards only? And then within the trading cards, I think it would be really cool if the trade show itself had like an app that showed you like an interactive map of where all the dealers are, and then potentially the dealers could upload their inventory, they could upload information about themselves, how you could find them. So that when you walk in the card show itself, and it's just wall to wall of cards and dealers, and there's like trading areas where there's no dealer aspect, it's just people that can hang out and trade, and it's just all that. And then you go to the corporate and you can kind of walk through, have your notepad, and start meeting all the networking aspect of it. Yeah. I guess like this one did have it somewhat separated, like in the middle, but to your point, like some people on the outside took advantage of like, hey, let me just like make this corporate and not have cards. Yeah.
And so like the corporate activations that did really well, from what I've heard from people and what I saw myself, was like Zero Cool. Zero Cool had that giant cube, and then they were doing giveaways. They were giving away Stranger Things cards. They were giving away Clerks cards. And that's what had the people lining up, was just the chance to get a pack of these cards. So again, it was the cards that brought the people in the masses, and also it's not influencers either. Like that's a point that maybe gets overlooked a little bit as well. Like, dude, no, this National would have just as many people at it, whether there was influencers there or not. It doesn't matter. These people are not here to be groupies of internet celebs. People are there to play this card game and to have fun and to make deals. And there's something very healthy about that. Like we live in a disconnected society that's increasingly becoming such. When you have an activity that brings people together, that encourages and incentivizes them to talk to each other, to have to negotiate with each other, to have to come to a mutual understanding about something. Bonds are formed, friendships are born. It also is a super spreader event and everybody gets sick when they go home. But hopefully that the pandemic is over at some point. Right? And here's the other thing. I loved your point about an app. Your point about an app being like a central device, a way to maybe like mark a dealer booth, and see what inventory. I mean, come on, man, that's a huge idea. That would the first sports card show that has an app associated with the experience, like what you described, that's a home run.
Yeah, we just need Wi-Fi to work, right?
Yeah,
well, I mean, honestly, like the app would be cool. I would love to help if I could, if the National wanted some help with that. I feel you on the corporate thing. I was gonna say that I was holding back a little bit is like, the whole like influencer clout chasing thing felt more apparent to me this year than it ever has. It just felt a little bit like more forced this year. I don't want to like start calling out names and giving examples. I just felt like walking around, I saw a lot more focus on like, hey, come meet this celebrity while you're here at this booth. Come do this and sign up for this thing and, meet up with us later and be on camera with this and do interviews with that. It's just like, yeah, but do you have any cards? Cards, like, oh, you might want to go to the outside and look for dealers. It's like, what the fuck? It just, there was a lot of that. So I don't know if it's like a sign of things to come, because like my positive spin on that is that I felt like the cards and like the atmosphere and the energy around the trade night completely overwhelmed that. Like people just didn't care. Like they just moved on, they ignored it. They came in droves to trade night and then they didn't line up for some of that stuff. That was my takeaway. So yeah, it's like being put in our faces more, but I feel like we did a good job of ignoring it as a community.
Definitely. Yep. Spot on, man. All right. JGB Collectibles. This was the most popular question this week by far in terms of like likes and stuff. Like everybody was liking this question. All right. So, question mark. What does this hobby mean to you? I saw a clip of this question being asked to attendees at the National, and I noticed that many kids would respond with flipping, getting money, leveling up.
That's your favorite question. Let's be real.
Making money. Is the future sustainable of the hobby, or is it in jeopardy if the majority of people in it have this mindset? I sense it would lead to a crash and burn, as there's no real attachment to the hobby other than money for these people. What are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah. If that's the only thing there is, then it's going to crash. At that point, without collectors, this is a Ponzi scheme. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Without people actually wanting to own these items, we might as well just be NFTs, because you have to have some.
How dare you?
We have to have some. I mean, let me put it this way: the community needs flippers. It needs people that are driving this market through transactions. It needs cards moving around. It needs action. But it also needs collectors. So if you're going to say we're going to be only collectors or we're going to be only flippers, then yeah, I'm going to be concerned about that. I would say it needs a stronger foundation of collectors, and then the flippers kind of come in after to fill the gaps. So if we're moving towards every kid that comes in as a flipper, and that's the future, yeah, I'm concerned.
Nailed it. Also, here's what I'll add. Oh, go ahead, Josh. Go.
Yeah, I hope yours isn't the same, but just super quick. One thing that we've been really adamant about is not turning away these types of people that come into the hobby, because eventually we feel that like if you're in it long enough as a dealer or flipper, you're gonna eventually just like start to love it. I always think of Coleman cards, like he's a dealer, he's a flipper, but he also has a lot of cards that he loves and he will never sell. And he's moving through, like he has got Tracy McGrady stuff. So there is always going to be, the ability for us to, I don't want to say convert, that sounds religious, but like the ability for us to like get these people excited about it long term. So we always have to kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I had a separate point. My point is this, these kids run this hobby between the kids and the dentists. These are power structures that have been put in place years and years ago. You can look at the dentists. They were flaunting it in the 90s with their trading card commercials. You can go look at it on YouTube. Kids even before that. Look, these kids, man, they've got these lawn mowing businesses. They've got, shoveling driveway businesses. These kids have money coming out of their ears. Look, they need to be taking pity on us. We keep thinking about how do we help these kids. These kids run the hobby. These kids need to be coming to us and saying, hey, what can we do for you guys? Can we break you guys off, with some nice slabs? Can we maybe give you guys some lessons on how to do this hobby? That's what we need to see happen, man. We need to turn this dynamic around and respect these kids for being the real shot callers in this hobby.
I heard a story of it. I won't name names, but there was a young kid who basically said something to the effect of, to someone much older, something to the effect of, can you afford the cards that I have? They had to say, no, I cannot.
All right, the kid said it to me. Let's just be fully transparent here. And the answer was no.
No, I can't afford your damn cards, kid.
He just looked at my new Jokic. I was just standing there with my new Jokic. Where is it? I was just standing here with my new Jokic like this, and the kid just looked at he just laughed. He said, oh, that's your new card? Oh, nice. Nice new card.
Was it Optic?
Yeah. He said, oh, first year of Optic, huh? Green out of 5? Wow, that's a trash card. And he walked away. He said, I wouldn't even make room in my Pelican case for that pizza junk, even if you offered it to me for free. That's how these kids roll out here, man. It's a problem.
They're savages.
All right. Joe Monty CP3 says, love the content, new subscriber to the Card Ladder app, and there's so much value to gain from using it. Oh, man, what a great question already. He said,
he's got CP3 in his name, so I love this guy.
Yeah, I know. I was connecting many dots when I saw this come in. And Joe Monty CP3 says, anyone not using it should give it a serious look. Hey, he said it, not us. Great advice, though. And here's the question. Did any of you actually walk to dealer booths looking for cards? And if so, what cards were you looking for?
Yeah, totally. I was looking for Penny Hardaway, Chris Paul, and LeBron, LeBron stuff. I found a lot. Just either it was overpriced or, just too much for me or whatever.
Yeah, you made some pickups too. You definitely made some pickups. So when you say it was overpriced, was it fair market value? You just felt like you weren't in the market for it, or was it marked up too much?
The one that I really wanted, I posted and I got everyone excited and I shouldn't have. There was one I was after and I thought that we were at the same level of price, and then he came back with the price and it was like, whoa, that's like twice what I was thinking. Sorry, bud. That's like higher than the last comp, and it's a much lower grade. Don't think so.
Got it. Yep. To be honest with you, Joe Monty, I don't really go to the National looking to make deals. I love to look at display cases and stuff, but I'm usually not looking for cards or to do any wheeling and dealing. I just like to go and take in the scene. So, all right. Ryan Bitter says, did any observations that you made at the National challenge any preconceived notions you had about the sports card market or about the hobby in general?
That's tough because for the most part, these shows are all pretty similar, so it's hard to see something and have my mind changed. I guess the Zero Cool booth, being so over the top, I thought ended up being kind of cool. I feel like I would have been ugh, another giant overdone corporate booth, but I thought this was kind of neat and engaging.
Nice. Okay. All right. I'm trying to think here. That's a really funny story. So I was with Jordan on Saturday, and he was in the thick of a negotiation with a dealer. So I didn't even really want to, even say what's up or anything, but I couldn't help it. I was just watching. And Jordan was trying to buy this card, and the dealer was like, hey, here's the price. And Jordan's like, yeah, well, the last comp was this, how about we just do the last comp? And the dealer goes to Jordan, and he goes, well, Jordan, do you think that card is going up in value? And Jordan was like, well, yeah, I mean, I obviously hope it's going to go up in value. That's, I don't want it to go down. And the dealer goes, well, look, how can the card go up in value if you pay the last comp? He said, he's like, I think you need to pay 20% over the last comp, and then boom, the card's going up in value. Me and Jordan both just got hypnotized by this guy's Jedi mind tricks, but we had to snap out of it.
And then Jordan paid 50% over the last comp.
And then Jordan bought the guy's whole booth.
That's a big brain thought.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, Jake, is that how is anybody going to know this guy at a show just paid 20% over the last comp?
Because you use card ladder private sales, bro, which, by the way, I submitted like 6 of them today. Get on it.
Oh, you did? Oh, shit.
Hell yeah, dude. I want to see more private sales in that thing, because there's a lot of cool cards that sold that aren't in card ladder sales history that I want to see in there.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, look, I totally understand people wanting to keep their private sales private. That's everybody's right. But if you want to be forthcoming and disclose private purchases and sales that you did, like, we love to have that data, man. We love to have it. And we've got a lot of private sale data points in Card Ladder. If you go to the sales history feature, set filter to private sales only, you can see some of the amazing private sales have been reported and verified. All right.
We don't even care. They don't have to be like big expensive ones.
No,
because like
not at all.
The ones that stand out the most for me are like the Larry Fitzgerald shield card. Like, there's just not that many shields in sales history, so I'm like, well, shit, let's submit a shield. This is a sale that happened. I paid this. Here's my profile. Here's a picture of it. Like, this is neat. Being able to search private sales.
Thanks.
If I'm gonna, let's do a little shilling for Card Ladder. Like, please upload your private sales.
Agreed. All right, Ricky Puyito says, what was it like seeing the person behind the Lamim James page?
I mean, we already knew what he looked like, so I don't know that like that was a shock. But he's a normal guy. He's a fun, like, normal guy to hang out with. So, he wasn't like some weirdo, if that's what you mean.
Yep, he passed the normal test, which we love to see. I was a little underwhelmed, but I got over it.
Underwhelmed? What do you want? You want him to be like 7 feet tall?
Dude, he rolled up to the basketball game with an army, and he brings like other meme creators with him. So like he had Octane collectibles with him. Now listen. I'm not endorsing Octane because this guy's memes are rated XXX. Like, you be advised, these are not suitable for work memes. But if you have a twisted, perverse sense of humor like I do, you will probably actually really enjoy his memes. So, yeah, it was great. It was great to see Lamim James.
I heard a couple comments of, like, people that were like, that was Lamim James. He was here, and I met, I was standing next to him, and I didn't even say anything. Like, so he was actually kind of quiet about the fact that it was him.
Yeah.
He wasn't, like, walking. He didn't have a shirt that says, I'm Lamim James. I think he did have his logo on the back of a few of his shirts, but he wasn't exactly, like, holding a sign up that said, hey, everyone, I'm Lamim James.
No, he wasn't getting worked up about his own celebrity. He was just a cool dude who was just chilling.
And then I love that he showed off his PC to Nick on the camera. I was like, yeah, guy's got all these cool memes. It's hilarious. He's obviously a big part of the hobby, but he's also got sweet cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it's an entry pass to being respected in the hobby. Is like, also, which cards do you own?
Oh yeah, his collection is ridiculous. His collection is absolutely disgusting. All right, Card Shop Dad says, what was the biggest card that you saw purchased at the National? Oh, this makes me laugh. Shout out our guy who he both I can't even. Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of them, but I did see a Star Jordan sell for $100,000 at a grade that made no sense at that price. But so there you go.
Nice. There you go. You saw that in person, or you saw a video about it?
Oh, it has to be in person? Then I get David's.
You guys are fine.
When do we say is the bigger one? When he sold it or when he bought it?
Oh, shout out to our guy, man.
Dude, I just picked up this massive dream card, locked away in the PC forever. I did sell it also 5 minutes later. Just FYI.
Well, I didn't personally witness these sales happen, but Golden brokered 2 gigantic sales at the National.
Dude.
The first one was this T206 Honus Wagner SGC2 for $7.25 million. This was brokered at the National. It's the largest card sale on record, so that's kind of a big deal. Last year, the SGC3 sold for a little over $6 million. So now an SGC2 with tremendous eye appeal, going for 7.25 is pretty amazing. And then Golden announced another huge sale today. The 2003 Topps Chrome Gold LeBron PSA 10 sold for $1.2 million at the National as well. So those are two enormous sales. All right, 2 very, very big sales that happened at the National.
So do those sales mean that my collection's worth more?
I've got some 8th-year Mickey Mantles that I think are going up in value as we speak. Like, I can feel their value rising. So,
because I heard of the LeBron Gold is obviously like a spectacular sale. Because I heard of like a couple lower grades being offered at pretty reasonable prices on the show floor. Mm-hmm. So that PSA 10, either that PSA 10 premium, brings like the massive demand, or people at the show are trying to sell those too cheap. I'm not sure. That's an incredible sale.
Yeah, that's definitely an incredible sale. I think it inspired a question we have from Drake that comes up a little bit later, but we're not there yet. All right, so Card Shop Dad says, and I think you talked about this a little bit earlier, transactions at the National. Was there a lot of transacting happening? Was there just a little bit? Was it mostly trades? Was it small cards? Was it big cards? How would you describe the wheeling and dealing that happened at the National?
What's up, Ken? Yeah, I mean, I bet you there would be people out there that would tell you, like, hey, my booth, I actually did better than ever, and I did the most deals, and I believe you. Like, I'm sure you did. Just my personal perspective, it felt like there was less deals happening and more trades and more people trying to sell. That was just my take on it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't get a chance to go to trade night. So.
Oh, we're talking about just trade night?
No, not just trade night. But I feel like trade night would have been a great place to put a finger on the pulse of things. Like, I know, like our buddy South, dude, he was in heaven for the entire National. He was doing nothing but wheeling and dealing. He was in his element, dealing with cards, from a few $100 to a few thousand, just absolutely making deals left and right all show long. There's some people who just they just thrive at that. And I would expect that trade night probably had a lot of that going on.
Yeah, he was telling me that the action at like the $100 to $1,000 range was just like insane, and that stuff was selling really frequently because obviously it's cheaper and people weren't as willing to drop $1K plus on stuff in cash, but they were really comfortable moving in that $100 to $1,000 range.
Yep.
So that there was just like tons of deals to be had at that range, trading. He made a ton of moves, so that's a good call out.
Oh, and that reminds me of another huge deal that happened at the National. So I wait for this hotel Wi-Fi to load. Here we go. So this card was transacted at the National as well.
Yeah, there you go. I forgot about that one.
This is a kind of a big deal here. So Michael MK Sports Cards picked up the Team Skybox Rubies Michael Jordan BGS 9 in a gigantic trade. So
Yeah, he came. I don't want to call him out too much. He came like running over to our booth and he found me and he's like, "Hey, is this card legit? Is it real?" I look at the stamp, I'm like, "Yeah, it's totally good." He's like, "Do you think I'm crazy if I do this deal?" And he told me the deal, and I was like, "Well, I would say you're giving up more value in the trade, but you're getting the better card. And I know you, Michael. Go do the fucking trade. Like this is totally up your alley. This trade makes total sense for you. You're getting a card that's going to be in your PT. Yeah, you have to give up some value, but you're into those cards for less. Just go do it." And I'm not saying that I like persuaded him or anything. He would have done it anyways. But it was just like one of those trades that I kind of miss. Like that used to happen a lot more. It was like a nostalgic trade where like the dealer's getting more value, the collector's getting the card they want. It worked for both sides. It was a big trade on both sides. It was a fun trade.
dude, that man is a wizard at trading cards.
He just all of a sudden is like, "Oh look, I have every Jordan Grail ever."
Dude, it's mind-boggling to watch this dude move. And like this guy, all right, so Michael has he has 18,000 followers. This guy's a full-time radiologist, or is a dentist. He's
No, radiologist.
This guy's got a full-time job, and he's twice the hobby influencer I could ever dream of being. And
dude, we have a hobby business, and he's got double the followers as us.
What do you do? What's your secret, Michael? And he's got content every day of the week. He's got sports card content. He's posting either cards from his collection or something that he's looking for, or a deal or a trade that he made. This guy's out of control. Is this guy a kid? Is this guy parading around? No, this guy's out of control, man.
Dude, you want to know his secret? You want to know the secret? You said it at the beginning of this episode.
What's the secret?
He posts cards, and like that's it. He literally doesn't give a fuck about anything but like cards, and it's really pure and great to see. And the reason you and I have less followers is because sometimes we don't post cards and we post like other stuff, and he just has like better cards to post than we do.
Facts. That's so true. All right, Chewy calls out that there was another deal involving a Michael Jordan card for over $100,000 on the show floor. Showcase Room says there was a Steph Curry Topps Chrome Gold Refractor 9.5 that was moved.
Ooh.
It was at least a $500,000 deal. So,
whoa.
Yep, there are deals. Deals were going down. Thank you guys for sharing that. All right.
Put them in Card Ladder, private sales. I want to see these. That'd be great content just to look through them.
Yep. Yes, it would. Somebody throw MK's Instagram handle in the chat. So, because I see some Clubhouse guys are like, "Oh, is this the guy who's always lurking?" Yes, it is. Yes, it is. He's got an amazing collection. All right, Tiger Jordan 311.
He's a mad scientist, by the way. He was walking around. His hair was all crazy. Mad scientist doing all these crazy deals.
He's a mad scientist of the hobby for sure. Tiger Jordan 311 says, "How was the national traffic compared to last year?" And I assume he means foot traffic.
The same. Dude, the layout or the actual convention center itself, once you got inside, was like the exact same as Chicago. I felt like I was in Chicago. Didn't you feel that way?
Yep. It totally felt that way.
It was probably the same company that like built those convention centers. It's the same thing. Yep. And the foot traffic felt the same to me as well. It felt, I guess, a little bit more spread out than Chicago, but I don't know. It felt the same to me.
Agreed. It was active. All right. Modest Card Collection says, if the next 10 Nationals were all in Atlantic City, how many years would you last before you finally sat it out?
Are you asking me or my wife?
Fair. You, though. You.
She did say, like, I don't think you can go to Atlantic City. Or, I don't know, man. I have to take a stand eventually. Maybe like 2 more.
2? Okay. Jordan says none. You're lying. You're lying. You'd be back next year. Also, if anybody hears a rumor about Jordan and a number 4, it's false. Do not believe that rumor. All right, Long Island Sports Card says, Ken came through and snagged the most expensive sold crown, referring to the Honus Wagner SGC3. But what are the chances that Ken can snag an 8-figure deal before the SGC 9.5 Mansell sells?
Is this like a race now to get this highest priced sale of all time now that that auction's running right now?
I guess so. I guess screw these guys adding grails to their collections. Who gets the credit for the biggest sale of all time?
What's the other one at?
I think Julian said in the chat that it's at 7.3.
Oh, it's already past it?
Well, but it hasn't sold yet, you know? So that's the thing. Like, we can't really count it yet. It hasn't sold yet.
What's the question?
What are the chances that between now and when that mantle ends, which is like 3 weeks from now, Ken is going to come through and trump that sale with an 8-figure sale? A new 8-figure sale.
Realistically, I don't think that Ken has full control over that because you have to find a card, first of all, worth that much. You got to find a buyer. You got to find a seller.
Right.
There's a lot of factors that go into it.
But if anybody's motivated to do it.
Yeah, are you doubting Ken, Josh?
The PSA 10 mantle, if one of those is going to move.
What you're like, who's that guy who taunted Michael Jordan? He went off and had that big game.
The real one or like the made up one where MJ said that he taunted him?
The fake one.
Yeah, that was the guy in the bullets.
Yes.
I forget his name.
Poor
That was like one of my favorite part of the docs. He's just like, I never said that. He's making it up.
Ken is sitting in his house right now going, and I took that personally.
Ken's got his iPad watching this, and I took that personally. All right.
He's like the glove. Let me just say, I had no problem with the glove. Come on, MJ. He's like, oh, they switched. And Gary's like, oh, if they just let me guard him the whole series, we would have won. He's like, please.
Into Sports and Cards says there needs to be a West Coast National.
Facts.
Yep, wouldn't be upset about that. 90s B-ball cards says this is a thoughtful question. He says, okay, jump into a time machine, relive the National. What would you have done differently?
This last one?
Yeah.
Worn a mask?
Fucking true.
I don't know. Probably nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I need more time. I don't know. I've never been this. I've always found this question fascinating just because I don't think this way. You know, I don't really think back and be like, what else could I have done? So
you're not one of those guys that's like, man, if I could go back to 2016, I would buy every fucking card.
Nope. Well, I would, but I don't sit there and dwell on it, though. I don't know. I was hoping you had a better answer because my answer was terrible, obviously.
I thought the mask one was pretty funny.
The mask, that's a great one. Man, that's a great one. And you know, not for nothing, I think we called this out. Like, I knew I was going to get sick at this goddamn show.
Well, Josh and I, before National, literally had a conversation about how many masks we were bringing each and, like, how we were going to wear them. Mm. And it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm, yeah. Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm. That's the thing, man. Yeah. Ugh.
Cool. See you later.
But even going into the show, knowing that just like last year, I was gonna get sick, I still go. You know, I still would go.
Yeah.
It's worth the misery.
I agree.
But if it was every month, I don't know about that. Then
Yeah. The once a year is like, yeah, you get sick once a year, you get the flu shot or whatever.
Exactly. All right. All right, that's going to do it for the national discussion, questions, and topics. So, do you have any
That was a lot.
on the national?
See you next year, bitches.
All right. Christina? No. All right. Stay tuned to the Card Ladder YouTube channel. We still have a few more parts.
A few more.
A few more.
Ooh.
Stiff Arm Wax is still in the lab cooking up a few more.
How many times do you think I watched the video of me shooting that three-pointer?
Which I assisted on?
At least 15.
At least 15.
Not that many. Maybe like 13.
13. Nice. All right. Stiff Arm Wax has 2 more episodes to come. All right. Moving on here. Flippity Flip Cards says, what is a quirky thing that you do when you get a nice mail day? For me, the card goes wherever I go while I'm at home until the next one comes in. I have it out when I'm brushing my teeth, when I'm eating, when I'm exercising, when I'm watching sports, whatever. And when I cannot look at it, I keep it in my pocket like a kid.
That's such a good answer. I love that. Just like, you're just so gleeful and you're just carrying it around with them all day. I definitely do that. I put it in my pocket, carry it around. I have it next to me while I'm working. I don't know. I go through like my routine of cleaning the slab, taking the picture, scanning it, sleeving it. I don't know. That's not really quirky, I guess.
No, that's spot on. That's spot on. I like. I definitely have it displayed. That's for sure.
I probably show it to Hoj like 4 different times. Like, I'll show it to him when I open it, and then, like, I'll get other cards that, like, go with it, especially when I'm rainbow building, and then I'll show him the entire pile and make him go through the entire pile, and then, like, later that night he'll see it again and again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Oh.
Cards GT has a question. Should you grade or should you not grade sealed 1-of-1 flawless cards?
I think you should grade everything. So.
Okay. Why is that?
I don't know. I just like grading cards. These are 1-of-1s. I don't like the sealed cards that much, like the box toppers and the uncirculated. I always crack those out and grade them.
Fair. I'm trying to find an example here of a sealed flawless card. I think I found a good example here. So this is
My question is so specific. I feel like I'm missing something.
well. So this is a sealed flawless Drew Brees, and there's definitely people out there who prefer the card sealed. So that's point number 1, is that there are collectors out there who prefer the card sealed. I once had a 2005 Topps Chrome blue refractor, or maybe it's X-Fractor LeBron out of 90. You know what card that is, right? Of course you do.
Yeah, the blue one.
The blue one. And it was a box topper, and so it came sealed, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't pull it, but I acquired the card sealed. I acquired the card sealed, right? And I actually took it out of the seal because I was going to grade it. But before I was able to send it to grading, I involved it in a trade. And the person who we traded it with was like, why the hell did you take this out of the seal? Like, what is wrong with you? I was like, I was going to get it graded. But he was upset. He was like, I don't even know if I want this card outside of the seal. So there's people who really feel strongly about the seal. There's people who feel like if you keep it sealed, you don't need to get it graded. It's best in this sealed one touch. So yeah.
Would you seal D's?
Oh, come on! What are you're talking to the master?
Every time you do that, I always try to get out. I call your bluff and I say, "What is D's?"
Oh, come on. But keep trying. All right. The Coos guys.
You know what's a PC I wanted to start at the National? I just wasn't able to do it.
What PC is that?
He's a baseball player, kind of unknown. Mike Jackson.
He's a punter actually, but yeah.
Punter. Well, it's like a baseball punter guy. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah, no, Mike Saxon, his stock is rising fast in this hobby for sure. All right, the Coos guy says, what inning are we in with vintage cards? It seems like flippers have gotten their meaty claws on it.
Yeah, I just like. I love how the narrative around this is like, I know that everything else was like pumped, then it went up, went down, middle finger, but vintage is different. Vintage is the safe one that will never go down, and it's gonna go down.
Dude, we've seen this song and dance with vintage before.
Oh yeah.
So that
The 2016, the famous 2016.
Yeah.
Pump and dump with vintage.
Exactly. I was trying to pull up the Roberto Clemente, whose cards were victimized by this. See if I can find an example of this on Card Ladder. So this is a decent example. So the card in question here is Roberto Clemente's 55 Topps PSA 8 rookie, an amazing card. And this card has a really weird graph because this card got up to 90 grand in 2016. By the time it was 2017, it was all the way back to 21 grand. All right.
Oh.
This Clemente went from 90 grand to 20 grand, 21 grand over about a year and a half. All right. So, this was that great 2016 run up in value of vintage. It collapsed all the way down to 21 grand. But, it came back. When the hobby boomed, it came back, and its last sale was 84 grand. But, if anybody was unaware of that, this is why we make all-time sales history charts on Card Ladder.
Well, it kind of reminds me of, remember last year, I mean, everything did this last year, but remember when everyone was talking about, like, oh, you got to buy GOAT cards, you got to buy, Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Brady, and everything else is a joke. Like, forget all the base card PSA 10 stuff. You just got to buy the GOATs, and you'll always be fine. That stuff went up, and then it went back down. Vintage will probably do the same. There's just so much supply of vintage that it's just impossible for it to, like, forever. There's just too much. It's just eventually going to go down.
Yeah. Yep. Just that's all. It's just, I'm certainly on alert with respect to vintage because I see that there are influencers and dealers and flippers who have taken an unnatural interest in it, and there are investment theories being attached to it that sound too good to be true. Drake's PC says, on a numbered card, at what point do you feel that grade premium matters? So, for example, should a gold prism out of 10 PSA 10 be worth more than a 9 when there's only 10 copies? Should a gold refractor out of 50 PSA 10 be worth a lot more than a 9 when there's only 50 copies?
Well, let me ask you this. Your PSA 9 McCaffrey finite?
Yep.
Would you pay to get it? Would you pay a genie to get that into a PSA 10?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There's no limit.
Yeah, I agree. The grade is always going to matter. And even when you're talking, like, let's take this even a step further, like Josh just did. Let's go to PSA, let's go to one of ones. Even on a one of one, there's a premium for a PSA 10 because, or just a high grade. A 9 is better than a 4. And the reason why is because even one of ones don't exist in a vacuum. They're competing in the market against other one of ones, and they're competing against other amazing cards. So all things equal, a higher grade is more desirable. And look, there's no way to make this pitch without sounding like I'm shilling for my own card, but I want to acknowledge that I know that it sounds that way, and that I'm still gonna say it anyway because I think it's instructive. All right, this Curry is not a true black 1 of 1, so it's less desirable than the true black 1 of 1s. But the fact that it's a PSA 10, it gives it something special. It makes it a little bit better in the scheme of Curry Prism 1 of 1s, I think, anyway, as the owner and collector of that card. So I do think that there's something to be said for the PSA 10. It does add value, even on 1 of 1s, definitely on golds.
Yeah. I think, as like a collector, someone who, let's say you're after a certain set of cards or you want to like obtain every card, you can't choose the grade on the 1 of 1s. You just sort of get what you get.
Yep.
But in a vacuum, as a collector, I think it's still okay to admit, like, yeah, I would also just like prefer this to be a PSA 10. I can't have it, but that's okay. I would pay more for the 10.
Totally. All right. Northwoods Card Collector says, out of all the podcasts that exist, that's a lot. I've never come across one that has had a PSA, BGS, or SGC grader sit for an interview. Does anybody else wonder who these graders are? I feel their identities are purposefully kept mysterious. I don't think I've ever come across a grader with an active Instagram account. Is it a requirement for their job that they're not allowed to describe their work environment, their goals, or be an active member of the hobby community? For example, I'd love to know the mindset of the grader who turned down all 16 of the BGS 9.5s that someone submitted at the National for a PSA crossover.
Right.
What do you say, man? What do you have to say?
I don't really have an answer. I don't we met some of them, and if they don't want to be public, then they don't want to be public. But I would imagine that the companies also would prefer they not be public. I don't have any good answers. I don't know the details.
Yep. Here's the I'm showing video right now from Lamim's page of the 16 crossover attempts.
These are a BGS 9.5 of just random cards.
I think so. Yep, I think so.
I love his minus 40.
Damn, lost $7,000 subbing with nothing to show for it, man.
If they would have cracked all those and resubbed them, they would have got, what was it, 18 cards you said? Or 16?
16.
They would have got 12 9s and 4 10s anyways. It would have been worse.
Yeah. Yep. I think what's really maybe at the heart of this question is how do we get more transparency around knowing the grades that we get?
Yeah.
And I don't know that ever happens. And I don't know, that I don't know how much that's a Pandora's box. If we get into the game of graders conducting, personal feedback sessions on, this is why this card got this. Well, then, the submitter, maybe myself, comes back and says, well, wait a minute, what do you mean this dings it to this? And then all of a sudden you've engaged in an iterative dialogue that has no termination point in sight. So, for example, would I love to have it explained to me why these two cards got absolutely wrecked? they both got PSA 7s, and obviously I thought they were in better condition than that. Yeah, I'd like to know why that happened, but by the same token, if I feel like the grade is undeserving, I can always resubmit it and give it a second go around. So, what do you think about that, Josh?
Yeah, I've always said I'd be a fan of some sort of report that comes out of, especially at a high-end card, what was wrong with it, or maybe I know BGS used to draw on the card area of where the problem was. Something like that would be helpful, I think, just to put our minds at ease. I don't know that I really want to know who graded it necessarily. I think that kind of crosses the line for me. I don't know, that seems weird to this is the guy, here's a picture of him. It's well, I would love the transparency of the grade. I'm not sure that I necessarily need to know the grader.
Yeah. Fair. Great question, though. Like, yeah, it's definitely one of the more mysterious parts of this hobby. And I too, would love if
Do you like
pay a little more to get a report or something.
Do you like in general though, like, I mean, you kind of have to, but like, do you in general just sort of trust that those deserved sevens? Like, you trust the system, you trust that, like, or do you think that, because I think this question is also hinting at, like, are there people behind this that are actively, like, giving me lower grades out of spite because of whatever, this is usually what this question leads down the path of, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as a hobby, should we just kind of trust these grades? Because I've sort of gone to that path of, like, you know, if it gets a 6, it probably deserved a 6. Like, there's something wrong with it. Either I didn't catch, or, you know, this is the grading standard they have internally. I should just trust it. This is how this works. Or, you know, is that too much for our big brains to just, like, take something that we're wrong and we want to know more about it, right?
I think both things happen. I think the vast majority of the time cards are graded fairly. I think sometimes mistakes are made, sometimes bias creeps in. That's only natural. I've seen it happen enough times where a card will get a 6 or a 7 on one submission and then it'll get a 9 or a 10 on another. I've seen it happen enough to know that there is human error involved. But here's how I think about it philosophically. It's all arbitrary anyway. You know, whatever grade the card gets, you know, I had no impact on how that card graded when it came out of the pack. The card was manufactured that way. It's all out of my control. So, you know, is there some level of randomness and luck involved with grading? Does a card sometimes get overgraded? Does it sometimes get undergraded? Yes, these things happen. But these are byproducts of random chance. And I accept it. And, you know, it is what it is. Now, the one caveat to what I'm saying is that if you have somebody who earns a living or has a side hustle or a business where they actually go and they pick out raw cards and they use their intelligence and their knowledge of condition and they spend a lot of time trying to pick out the proper raw cards, and then, you know, they send them in to get graded and there are errors in the grading, you know, in that situation, you know, that's a frustrating situation. Like me as a collector, I don't earn a living by flipping or grading cards, so like I'm able to just kind of sit back and say, hey, this is the byproduct of random chance. Just the same way I open a pack, maybe I get a good card out, maybe I don't. I send a card in for grading, maybe I get a good grade, maybe I don't. There's a level of randomness to it. But for people who actually professionalize and work in, you know, on stuff like that, I totally get why they would be very frustrated if they're picking out raw cards and putting great effort and labor into it, and then they're not getting back fair grades.
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to add is, like, I've kind of heard from people, and, you know, people maybe feel this way, like, I see other people getting 10s, but I feel like I'm getting unlucky or they're screwing me personally. I would say to that, go watch video 3 of Card Ladder and watch Josh Luber, right, you know, one of the leaders of the biggest card hobby business in the hobby, get absolutely, you know, wrecked on some of these grades. That happens to me. It happens to you. We get low grades. We get some high. They definitely are not treating individuals more or less fairly. Like, this is, to your point, I wouldn't use the word random, but, like, it's definitely not targeted at specific groups of people. Like, everyone's getting kind of consistently set at these different levels, and it's not one person is more or less unlucky, as it were.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Also, like, just a final thought on this. Like, it's worth noting that the system is definitely imperfect, but it is held up over the last 3 decades or so.
Yeah.
There's enough with it that is functionally stable that, you know, that doesn't mean that it can't get better. But what it does mean is that, you know, let's not throw everything out and go back to the drawing board completely, because obviously a lot of factors of grading do work. So, all right. Marino212 says, what are some affordable 90s inserts for guys like me?
Do you want me to just like start naming random ones?
Yeah, I mean, this is our friend David Marino. Great,
Yeah.
The greatest party promoter in hobby history. So
There's like a shocking number of inserts that are like not anywhere near the tier of like, the rubies and the PMG in terms of price that, we could argue look almost as nice, and you can have a lot of fun collecting that stuff. You probably know more than me in this area, but like Noise Boys, Thunder and Lightning, Superstar, Star Power Supreme, like there's lots of stuff, man. A lot of those are not that expensive. I mean, if it's not MJ or Kobe.
even still, some of those other sets too, man, they have gotten really expensive. Like, not Kobe, not MJ.
Like Platinum Portraits, Iverson, or like stuff like that. That stuff's not super expensive.
Yes, exactly like that. Like, hold on. Like
Take-It-To.net, Ultra Abilities. People are just naming them.
Yeah, Take-It-To.net is an awesome one. I love that one because it's numbered.
Yep.
So that's a great one to look at. But like, yeah, I mean, a BGS 9 Allen Iverson Platinum Portrait, like it sold for $1,500 in February.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I took the spirit of the question of like, hey, I can't afford like 50K, 20K. I don't know the price range specifically for David, so I don't want to just like guess. But like in the modern world, 1,500 is like, compared to some of the stuff we've seen. I don't know what he's talking about specifically, what price range.
He wants the dollar bin. No, I don't know. I like.
Go look up like Grant Hill something, like Grant Hill Thunder and Lightning or something like that.
Thunder and Lightning is a really cool set.
Those are cheap.
Yes, there we go. They are condition sensitive, which is a pain. But yeah, let's see. So how much does a Grant Hill Thunder and Lightning go for? So perfect. So the last sale of a Grant Hill Thunder and Lightning BGS 9 was a little over a year ago. It was about, how much did it sell for? $84. So maybe this is about a $100 card today.
I'm just saying, like, that stuff, this kind of card right here, like, never ever gets talked about. I know it's random, and that was by design. But dude, like, you could find stuff like this if you really want to just get into collecting and you really don't care about you're just not into the whole flipping, you're not into the investing stuff. There's cards like that in droves, like there's tons of, dude, just go to Jake's channel, 90s B-ball cards. He'll show you that's what he specializes in.
Definitely. That's the perfect recommendation, is 90s B-ball cards on Instagram and on YouTube. He called out the Slam Funks. They are really nice looking cards.
They're so sick.
Sick.
How much is that one?
This card sold for $4,500 in January. Kobe PSA 10, and today maybe $3,000 or so. I don't know.
PSA 10.
PSA 10. Yeah, I mean that's as good as it gets.
If you wanted to build like a binder, let's say, like you wanted to build a binder of like cool 90s inserts of random players, you could just start picking off cards under $100.
Dude, absolutely. Yeah, Thunder and Lightning. Frankie mentioned Intense.
Yep.
Said Intense. What's really cool about that one too is that's from early. That's from '94. So that's a cool one. It's one of the few cards that depicts Jordan in a 45 insert and in a 45 jersey.
All the legacy cards, because there's like multiples of them, but they're all serial numbered. The Flair Legacy, like you can get all the different rows. Like all the Penny Hardaways are like $100, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Some great. I hope David's in here because we're getting some great suggestion.
Netrageous.
Netrageous, yep, totally.
It'd be cool to build a binder. It'd be cool to build a binder of just random players and of random inserts. Thrill Seekers is a good one.
Yep, absolutely.
What's the Golden Touch? I really like the Golden Touch ones.
Well, yeah. So there's 2 years of Golden Touch. There's like the green one, which is 96, and then there's the all gold one, the 97. Those are
cool.
Yeah, let's see here. So here's what the Golden Touch looks like. The one that Josh is referring to.
Then like the Star Power, then the Star Power Supreme. Like you got different fun parallels of inserts, linchpins, net assets. Jake's just like naming them off. This is like Jake's freaking everything he does in his area.
This is definitely Jake's. This is Jake's fun.
Soul of the Game.
Oh yeah, Soul of the Game is awesome. Christina wanted to give Competitive Advantage a shout out. Yeah, Soul of the Game is amazing, and if you look very carefully, you'll notice that the color patterns on them are different. Not on different players, but even on cards of the same player.
Whoa.
So, yeah, that's a cool feature of. Let me see if I can find an example here, so you guys don't think I'm just making that up.
Snowflake card.
What's that?
Like a snowflake card.
So here you have green and yellow at the top, then red, then blue. So remember that? Green and yellow at the top, then red, then blue. Let's see if I can find a different one. And then here you go. Now you have red at the top, then blue, then green.
Dude, I had no idea that was a thing.
That is definitely a thing.
Someone never watched House of Dragon.
Did we talk about that in House of
Yeah.
Dragons? Nice. That's a nice little party trick for all you studs out there.
Hey, you're at a bar and you're just talking to some random girl. Hey, I got something real slick to show you. Check this shit out.
Also, shortcut or like a hack for this as well. Go on eBay and buy like a Beckett basketball magazine from the year 2000, and then just flip through the price guide and just take note of all the insert sets. And that's a great way to wrap your mind around all the different ones. And the prices will obviously be way out of date, but the relative pricing will still make sense. That's honestly next to checking out 90s b-ball card content. That's the next thing I would do after that.
That's a free tip.
Octane Collectibles says,
For all you go-getters out there.
what was the most hyped up product of the year so far?
Hyped up product? Flawless, right?
Yeah, easy. Super easy. Flawless for sure. Sweat47 says, would you want to live in a world where cards could only be sold at public auction? What are the pros and the cons of this?
No.
These card shows would be pretty boring.
Yeah, card shows would have a hard time in this world.
I mean, he thinks that you want that because of Card Ladder and the pricing stuff, but we do not want that.
No.
Takes the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Plus, you gotta think also, like, all those BPs, like, and all those fees that, like, are taking money out of the collector's pocket, not going to other cards, but are going to, like, auction houses and marketplaces to, like, feed their families and stuff. Like, fuck their families and fuck them eating. Like, put that money in cards.
Plus, we know that those fees really make it tough for us to compare ourselves to the stock market.
That's right. That's the biggest problem there, for sure. Look, that's. I wasn't with you guys at first, but now that's a great point, though. Is that like, if you can only sell at auction, then you're taking away every private transaction, every in-person transaction, every card show transaction, every fixed price listing on online marketplaces. Like, a lot of stuff transacts that way. But I love the fact that auctions are at the heart of the sports card market. It's such a driver of liquidity that you can force the action on a card and get something approximating market value anytime you want, because auctions are an accepted mode of buying and selling. So, you never are stuck with a card, ever. At any point, you can send that thing to auction and get fair market value for it, which is a great perk of our industry and one that's underappreciated.
You get that one. You only get that one usage of the word liquidity tonight. You used it up. You're done.
Man, I was lacking on liquidity for a few days there at the National. I needed a lot of liquids.
Nice.
Grail Card Quest says, if deciding between cracking a slab and sending it to PSA or trying their crossover service, what factors help you decide which way to go?
Well, if it's a card where I want to maintain the value and I'm worried about it and I'm trying to sell it, crossover. If it's a PC card that I just want in the other grading company, crack.
Boom. I think that sums up quite nicely. All right. Matt Bubar says, there are also, side note, there's 2 Matthew Bubars in this hobby. And they're both great, all right? But just the odds, there are 2 Matt Bubars. But anyway, this Matt says, I recently learned about the concept of mimetic desire, which states that we unconsciously mimic the desires of others rather than engage in a process to identify and pursue what really matters most to us. Do you see this applied to the hobby? So, for example, Prism was not sought after when it first came out, and it was only when others saw the value in the parallels that now the gold Prisms are more sought after than ever. Do we really desire these cards, or is it just because everybody else desires them that we desire them?
Man, this guy would be your friend in real life. He's throwing out these big phrases. He's got these theories. He's talking great about Prism Gold.
I don't know if he's talking great. He's saying Prism Gold. He's saying we only like it because we think everybody else likes it.
This is a tough question. I feel like there's some validity to it, though.
Oh, I mean, I would take it even further. I would say, are you sure that, Matt Bubar, are you sure that you could actually separate your desires that are shaped by the opinions of others from your own, desires in a vacuum? Because I don't think you can. I think that every desire that you have that's based on social constructs in the social world is largely shaped by your environment. And just like kind of recognizing that point is a monumental step in, grasping how and why markets, in particular our market, works the way it does. So I think that's huge. Where it gets dangerous is thinking that, like, once we understand this, then we can, like, somehow leverage this into convincing other people to change their tastes, or, using this as a way to, like, pump up the next asset class.
The next PMG fallacy.
Like maybe you get all your cards out and you have like some really nice classic iconic cards, and then you've got this new class of cards that you think is really dope, and you just want to like pump it up to the world. So you put all of your really nice iconic cards in this picture, and then you just sneak in your new card that you really want to blow up and become the next thing. When you start doing stuff like that, that's where gets a little tricky. So I'd be.
Are we talking about Harry Potter cards?
Look, I'm drawing a lightning bolt on my forehead.
Nice.
Expelliarmus!
So that's where I would just be careful. You know, Matt, now that you've discovered this thing, this piece of wisdom, don't be on alert that we can recognize it, but we are all just cogs in this social machine, and there are factors at play that are much, much greater than us. And it's a great topic, though. It's a topic that goes well beyond the hobby. It has all sorts of implications.
I was gonna say, like, it sounds great in theory, and it's really fun to say, like, oh, only collect what you personally like. Don't worry about hype. But there's a lot of value to owning cards and enjoying cards that other people also enjoy. It makes it more fun, more community driven. So like that's kind of what this question hints at for me.
Yeah.
But I like the way you took it of like, now that we know this, it's obviously happening. Please don't use this to hype up some other stupid thing.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. All right. Perimeter Collectibles says, it seems like everyone knows investing in young quarterbacks is gambling or playing hot potato. Yet prices continue to climb higher and higher. Other than all prospects failing, can anything realistically reverse this trend? Woo.
I've given up on this topic. I used to be on the side of like, this is bullshit. These prices shouldn't be so high. These guys are, half the player of Peyton and Elway and stuff. But I've just given up because the other side of it is like those guys aren't just going to go to zero, when they fail. They don't just like fail at one point. Even like Mitch Trubisky has failed and flopped, and his card prices still demand things because he switched teams. There's some new interest potentially in his market again. Like he'll never just quite evaporate. But I get it, like people are probably spending too much out the gate. They usually correct. I don't know.
Yep. So this question dovetails nicely with the next one. So I'm just gonna save my take for this one.
Ooh.
Ben X Crunner 1 says, starting with the premise that collectors and investors are becoming savvier and more intelligent, do you think there is a decreased likelihood of making huge returns on cards like you could in the past? It seems like there's a decreased likelihood of finding something that someone hasn't already discovered, sort of like the efficient markets hypothesis. And so I waited for this question before I could give my answer, which is that the efficient markets hypothesis and sort of the thrust of this question is that people are going to act rationally. And let me tell you, as somebody who just spent a few days in Atlantic City, people do not act rationally, especially when it comes to their sports fandom. So there's always going to be, I think, parabolic price movements on exciting players who inspire something in our animal brains that makes us want to run out and grab collectibles and commemoratives of those players and what they represent. So that's why I bring up the casino, the Atlantic City factor, because, there are people placing huge bets on 50-50 chances, and it's not rational, and it never was. But that's not the point. And I think sports cards is a vehicle for irrational money spending, just the same as gambling is. I'm not saying that buying singles is the same as gambling. What I'm saying is that the sports element, the passion element, the fun element that sports cards offer, there's always going to be, I think, irrational money in large amounts funneling into exciting sports cards that make people fired up. So that's my take on that.
Plus, do you remember when Patrick Mahomes completely blew up? You remember that?
Yep.
His market was like nothing, because if you remember the year before, he barely played. There was a little bit of hype because he had a decent last game, but not much. Like, he wasn't even playing in the playoffs. Alex Smith was the starter. There was a little bit of buzz in training camp. Then he came out, guns blazing, went all the way to the AFC Championship multiple times, and it's like, holy shit, this guy went from, like a top 25 starter to like the best player in the NFL, seemingly in like 2 years. There's going to be cases like that. There's going to be a Cooper Kupp that comes up out of absolutely nowhere and is the Super Bowl MVP, regular season offensive player of the year, breaks all these records. Those things are still going to happen that we can't predict. So there's always going to be these parables. To your point, like, we're always going to have some level of sports gambling and fandom.
Totally. That's the and like the word irrational often carries a negative connotation, but I don't mean it in the negative. I think the irrational nature of the sports card market is one of the things that makes it special. Is that the sports card market is one of the places where you have permission to be irrational, and all of us as human beings have this irrational, fun-seeking, thrill-seeking side that needs an outlet every now and again. But on the flip side, not to like fight the question too much, there's obviously something to this for sure. That people are becoming more careful. People are getting stung, from time to time by bad investments. So I think people will tend and trend towards, being a little more cautious, a little more rational for sure. And that may have a systematic aggregate effect. So that there's obviously something to this, but I don't think we're ever going to see this sports card market lose that crazy parabolic hype and energy that can infect a very exciting players' cards.
Dude, you made a post about this today, I think, where you were like, tell me when the all-time high of these guys' market was. Guess the date. And some of them you're like, well, it's got to be down because they're not playing, or it's out. You're like, no, it's today. Today is their high. You would have no idea because it seems crazy, but it's today.
Right. Yep, for sure. All right. About 15 minutes to go here.
Yep.
GV Sports Card says, what are your thoughts on Fanatics dumping some of their distributors at the end of the year? Who's going to handle the load with Topps printing more products across the board for all sports, plus adding more parallels into production?
Dude, this is the one where I can't pretend I know. I have no idea what this means.
Yeah. Well, this is insider baseball. This is a discussion about supply chain. How does the product ultimately make its way to the consumer? And it's fascinating because distributors have played an integral part in taking the cards from the manufacturers and making sure that they get to the card shops and they get to the breakers. And distributors have tactics that they've developed over the years for how to leak out the supply. So they get their full supply, but they're not going to just dump 100% of it out of the market. They're going to hold back some of it, and they're going to see how it does. And then they might mark up the price of the next round that they release to card shops and see what happens from there. So they've played a functional role in determining how much product makes it to the market at which times. And now they, as far as this question suggests, if Topps is taking distributors out of the equation, that functional role that the distributors have played historically in determining how much product gets leaked at what time to which people, right, and in what quantities, they're that part of the link, that link in the chain is gone. And so now Fanatics is going to be the entity that's responsible for determining how much product should make its way out at what point in time, at what price, and then should the price get raised when the first wave sells out, or if the first wave doesn't sell out, should the price come down? And there's probably a little bit of reason to be concerned there, because there's a risk of bias of the manufacturer being biased towards certain products and maybe being higher or lower on them, whereas like a neutral, independent middle person might have a more objective take on how much product should make it at which point. So that'll be an interesting wrinkle to this. But the optimist, the glass half full take on this is that product should be cheaper now.
Cheaper, yeah.
Because there's not distributors controlling the supply on their own terms, and there's not distributors able to mark stuff up because they have a more intimate knowledge of what people are willing to pay, and they're maybe riskier than the manufacturer who just sets their SRP and then just lets it go. So there's some thoughts on that topic.
That makes sense. I mean, I don't know enough about any of that to speak more intelligently than like if it gets collectors the ability to purchase wax at cheaper prices, then I guess I'm in, right?
Definitely. All right. Oh, this is good. Card Shop Dad says, what are your thoughts on the 2003 Exquisite box rip? Does Upper Deck have an expired redemption program? What would you think if Upper Deck had the card and gave it to the guy? So the guy is 26 Collectibles, who just went on Instagram Live yesterday and literally opened a box of 2003 Exquisite. Literally opened the box, and he pulled from this box a redemption for the Michael Jordan Exquisite Autographs Patches card numbered to 100, which like is in a BGS 9.5. That's like a $50,000 card. Right. So let's see. Okay, here we go. Here it's coming. So we're watching the replay on 26 Collectibles page. That's a
name the card.
That's a Kendrick Perkins RP that he just pulled.
Kendrick Perkins loves PSA, by the way.
The PSA stamp.
Yeah. If it's not a PSA 10, then it ain't right.
Okay, here's the redemption. Oh, look, he's shaking, dude. He's so... And I obviously would be, too. I would be very, very nervous / excited. Just the tidal wave of emotions. Congratulations.
Oh, my God. Michael Jordan.
Autographed Exquisite Patches. Michael Jordan, sequentially numbered to 100. Congratulations. He actually hit the Michael Jordan redemption from a 2003 Exquisite box.
Brutal.
Just absolutely brutal.
Like, fuck. It'd be cool if like Upper Deck did something for him.
I would love that. That would be amazing. And it's just,
wouldn't it be nice if hobby companies just did nice things for collectors? That seems crazy, though.
Dude, that would be incredible, man. That's such like an easy win, too. So here's what the card looks like.
Yeah, oh man, what a killer card.
Absolutely amazing card, numbered to 100. Oh, boy.
Oh, shit.
So this
I thought Michael Jordan prices didn't go down, Chris. What the fuck?
Well, this card once was selling for as high as 180 grand, and then it fell to 113 grand, and then it fell to 50 grand. I almost wonder if there's something off. Patch variance is probably a factor here. So here's the here's the most recent copy that sold for 50. So I don't know, maybe one with a nicer patch is more than 50. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But yep. Awesome card. Awesome card.
Crazy. All right, Upper Deck, if you're watching, send that man a MJ Golf auto or something. I don't know.
So Diggs says, hey, my buddy works at Upper Deck and said there's a chance they still have it in their vault. He was non-committal on if they'd actually do it, though.
Can you imagine? Like, you're either going to get nothing and just get completely wrecked, or you get a $50,000 MJ card.
Who wants to live?
Freaking Schrodinger's cat.
Talk about living on the edge. And, like, this goes back to what we were talking about before, too. Like, it is not rational in any world to open that box. But we do stuff like that all the time in the hobby, you know?
We?
All the time.
You got a mouse in your pocket?
The Queen's we. The Queen.
Yeah. I'm working on my Chris impressions. I gotta add all right. I gotta add that one. You do the you look at the clock. You're like, we got 15 minutes, all right.
All right. We have 8 minutes now.
Okay. Does Frasier say that?
He should. I need to get on. You know, who knew that Frasier was the GOAT? I always liked that show, but just to see how many awards that show got, I couldn't even believe it. But I owe you such a debt of gratitude for that.
Well, I was searching like shows that I could pick up next, and I was just searching like top 100, lists, and that fucking show didn't show up anywhere. Just so you know.
You must have been looking at the wrong list. Why don't just retrain your list to most Emmys of all time, and then you'll get that show.
That gets me the list of the most pretentious shows of all time. I'm looking for like the cult classics, the undervalued shows. I don't know about you.
Hey, do you like undervalued? Do you like Seinfeld?
I've never seen it. I've never watched it.
Wow, damn. I was watching Seinfeld last week when I was laid up, and I tried to get Christina to watch a few episodes. She hated it. She was.
What?
She thought it was. She wouldn't even laugh, even at like the lowest common denominator humor.
It's not a funny show. It's just not funny.
Woohoo! Let's go.
Like,
Did you watch that Nate video?
I never watched it either, Josh. So this past week was him trying to get me to watch it, and it just isn't funny. Don't do it.
Look,
So do you like it? Do you like it?
oh yeah, I mean, look, I'm not like the number one Seinfeld fan of all time, but every episode delivers.
You've seen them all.
Chuckles.
You've seen the whole show.
Not ever like at once, but I've definitely like over the course of my life, I've probably seen close to every episode.
So Charlie's in the chat. He says, I'm surprised you guys haven't watched Arrested Development. That's not true. I've seen Arrested Development a couple times. I love that show. We just haven't talked about it because I just feel like it's like a little bit more niche and not as many people could relate as much as like Office. So,
Right.
By the way, did you watch that Nate video that I posted?
Yes, that's hilarious.
Dude, that's like the best Office montage I've ever watched. Like he's so funny.
Who did people suggest is Nate?
Do you want me to say it?
Yes.
He might watch this show and he might get Seablez.
All right, well, don't say that.
Like Seablez.
What?
I got at least 4 recommendations for Seablez. So like when he's like Daryl, I'm gonna look so handsome for you. Gloves are fantastic, Daryl. I love them.
Well, it's a very lovable character, so.
He's like, I don't technically have a hearing problem, but if like a lot of people speak at once, I can't distinguish them. Yeah, Charlie, I love Arrested Development. Have you seen Arrested Development?
No.
That's a classic. That's like so that one actually, I think it had like 4 seasons on Fox, and then it was canceled because it didn't get enough viewers. And then after it was canceled, got this huge following, so much so that Netflix had to like finish the show. Like Netflix picked it up years and years later. It was such a cult classic that they picked it up and like finished the series. That was pretty interesting, like factoid about that show, that it got canceled, but then more popular after it was canceled.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely familiar with it. I just never watched it.
It's like the most dry show you'll ever watch.
That's okay.
Very, very, very dry humor, which is my, I feel like that's our style.
Definitely. All
That's how, what's his name? Jason Bateman got.
Jason
That was
Bateman.
a big.
Michael Cera is like in there a few times. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's Michael, Jason Bateman's son.
Okay. A few very important questions that I saved for the end. I just want to make sure we got to these before the show's over. So,
All right.
LSU Tiger 65. says, do you guys think there will be a post-national bump for Shitbeast?
You were like really serious with that question. I was like focused. Like a professional bump for Shitbeast. That might be the first time anyone's ever said that, though.
I think so. Also, like, NFTs, man, I was looking at CoinGecko the other day. Some of these NFTs are making a comeback out here.
Yeah, because crypto's going back up. I don't know if you noticed.
Ooh, okay.
Well, what about Shitbeast?
Well, I just remember that, everyone said sports cards should be going down when Bitcoin is going down. So, I look forward to seeing people consistently hold the point of view that now that Bitcoin and cryptos are going up, sports cards, or does it only work one way? I don't know.
All I know is that in NFTs, there's this concept of rising tides lift all boats. So when the apes and the monkeys and the punks go up, that means the shitbeasts go up. So we're in the early phases of Shitbeast.
We are in the early innings of Shitbeast. All right, let me see if I can.
I'm gonna buy my Shitbeast now, and then I'm gonna hold it for at least 20 years. That's my strategy.
That's it? 20 years?
Generational wealth right there.
Are you a real collector?
Do you even collect, bro?
Oh no, Shitbeast is down 12% over the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
Now it's time.
Oh no. Okay, look, this is not how all the NFT charts look right now, by the way. But Shitbeast is not looking good.
You know why?
Shitbeast is
I'll
down
tell
to
you why.
$93.
Well, I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because of that fucking liquidity.
Oh, liquidity is the problem here?
There's no liquidity. All the hodlers.
Liquidity. Look, I thought liquidity was one of the perks of Shitbeast.
Again, a first for that sentence. I thought liquidity was a perk of Shitbeasts.
Look, all the friction's been taken away, and we're all rich.
I love how the last 20 minutes of the show just like immediately always, no matter what, divulge into Shitbeast office banter of nothing.
We are beholden to the question askers.
All right, next question. Come on.
All right, well, this actually was an important one from Card Collecting 82. This is directed to you. He said, how is Josh's investment in VeeFriends going?
God damn it. You got me like focusing in and listening and shit. I'm thinking like, here comes a Penny Hardaway question, or like, how do you stay so goddamn focused on your trash CP3 collection? I'm just ready.
Right. Well, okay.
When I think of VeeFriends now, I just think of empty boxes of trash all over the floor.
That's true. That was a visual that we witnessed.
Pick those up.
And Collectors League says hotel versus Airbnb. So there was a Clubhouse Airbnb
Hotel.
that man, those guys went through it.
You know what, man? I went through this phase in my life where I thought Airbnb was cool and it was hip. I'm here to tell you that phase is over. Hotels are back. Let's make hotels great again. I've been in a hotel for 2 weeks straight now, and I like them.
Nice. Maybe we get a hotel sponsor on this show.
Marriott, here we come.
All right.
Big shout out to Marriott. My points are a booming.
Nice. We're in a Marriott as well, aren't we?
Yeah.
A courtyard.
What level are you, Josh?
Well, I don't want to brag, but I have no idea. Gold, platinum, silver, I have no clue.
Very high and official.
Wherever you guys are, just one higher.
I'm sure. Yeah.
What level are you?
I believe they told us when we checked in we're silver elite. There it is. It's right on the fucking screen. Silver elite.
I'm gold elite.
There you go.
It's a Bon Voyage, Christina.
Come on,
That's
bring
hilarious.
back our level. Can you believe this? As soon as I bring it, there we go.
So you know I'm not lying.
Elite. I just love how it doesn't say Bon Voyage, Chris. We all know who books the hotels in this relationship.
Yeah, it's the cat's out of the bag.
Surprise, surprise.
All right. Great show. Hopefully we'll actually be back in our real beds soon. Everybody, hope you guys had a great national. See you guys next week. Oh, all right.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just one click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.